What have I been reading recently? Stay tuned and find out. Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Zach with Zacks Books, and today I've got a recent reads for you. Got two Kings, a thriller pick from Danielle, and a Darcy. So, all exciting stuff. We'll have the 4 books linked down below if you're intrigued with any of them. Also down below is going to be the Bookstagrams, Danielle's channel. Danielle's so close to 1,000 subbies. Get her there. It's going to be fantastic when she does. Just help her out. But yeah, I've got the 4 books here, and we're going to start getting into them. I'm going to go in the order of which I read them. We're about, at the time of filming this, about halfway through June, so we'll see what happens for the latter half of June. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the books. Alright, the first book I'm going to talk about is Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King. So I do not have a reread of King this month thus far. I've read 2 new ones. Mr. Mercedes is the first one I read this month. This is about a, it's about like an ex-cop named Bill Hodges, who basically gets like pulled out of retirement by Mr. Mercedes during like a hiring fair or something like that. Some guy, which we later find out his name is Brady. It literally, like, we're getting 2 perspectives throughout the book. We have Hodges' perspective, and then we have Brady. I think his last name starts with an H as well. Hartsfield. In his perspective of being Mr. Mercedes and like luring out Bill Hodges to come out of retirement so we can try and kill him. And it's a really entertaining book. I gave this 5 stars. Out of the thriller-ish type books that he has written, this has by far been my favorite. It's not in my top 10, but I would definitely say it's probably in my top 20. It was a really solid story, and I really liked it. There's only one character I really did not like, and that was Brady's mom, who was a heavy alcoholic. There's some weird, like, sexual stuff between Brady and his mom. It was really weird to read, but, like, besides that, I didn't really have any problems with this book. And being introduced to Holly Gibney in this book. Again, I should have probably read this first before I read The Outsider and If It Bleeds. But this book introduces us to her. The reason why I'm reading the Hodges trilogy is because the Holly Gibney series, Holly, is coming out in September. So I wanted to read the Hodges trilogy where she's involved in all the books. Potentially reread The Outsider too, just so I can get back into the Holly Gibney thing when it comes out. But I started with this book. Finders Keepers is probably going to be next month. I'm planning to do 1 a month. And just see what happens. But otherwise, this book was really good, and I'm going to give it 5 stars. It was a solid story. So there you have Mr. Mercedes. Alright, on to book number 2. This was the thriller pick by Danielle, and I gotta tell you, this book was not good. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson.
Actually, let me chime in. People always ask if there are books that you and I, like, what books you and I differ on. Example.
This is a big one, because I think you gave this 5 stars, which, Nakia, I know in my TBR you asked me about this book, and you wanted my opinions. Here they are. It sucked. I did not like it. The main person, Ernie Cunningham, I really just didn't like any of the characters. They all kind of sucked. They were all annoying. They were obnoxious. I almost DNF'd this book. But I told Danielle I'd finish it because it was her pick. And I regret that decision wholeheartedly. I ended up giving this like 2 stars. I honestly, I couldn't even tell you what really the plot was. And I'm sure Danielle probably memorized it because she really loved this book. As far as I know, it's like this family reunion. One of the brothers is getting out of prison, or like Ernie's brother's getting out of prison after he got, was it brother or cousin? I don't even remember. Yeah, brother. And like a body shows up at this resort they're at, and then like other people just start dying, and like you come to find out some big plot twist. And I was like, I mean, the plot twist is really what kind of saved it, because like I didn't really see it coming. Like towards the end, like the end, like plot twist of like who actually is doing the killings and stuff like that. That I will say kind of salvaged it, but besides that,
What you didn't like about the book is what I liked about the book, because I loved the narrator and how he was like giving us like little nuggets and stuff.
yeah. He kept okay. So one of the biggest beefs I had with it is the narrator literally told you like everything. Like, there's a death on page 84. My cousin gets fucked on 87. like all these things where it's just like, yeah, on this page this happens. In chapter 27, where it's Sharon's chapter, she gets like shot in the foot. Like, just gives you the details like right off the bat, and it's just like,
because he tells you straight up, I'm going to be a reliable narrator, and you didn't like that.
Like that just irritated me. It's like, look, bro, just shut the hell up and let me read the damn book. That's like all I want. Like, Mr. Narrator, thank you for giving me all the information, but like, just let me read the damn book. That was pretty much the biggest beef I had with it. Like, just the narrator saying everything. Like,
that cover though.
Like, yeah, cover's nice, which Major Book Freak Tag is just not going to uncover the year. I really just did not get into this book. And I gave it a chance. I really tried. And, like, I literally got, like, a quarter of the way through the book, and I literally told Danielle, I'm like, hon, I don't know if I can finish this book.
I told you to see it through to the end.
And, yes, the ending is literally what salvaged the 2 stars it got. So, it's a 2-star ending and a 0-star book. So, there you go. There you have Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. Alright, next up is The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates. So this is book 3 in the Gravekeeper, I think it's the Gravekeeper. Yeah, Gravekeeper, right now trilogy. However, I did hear there are rumors that I think a 4th book might be coming out next year. But I don't know any truth to that. So this one is still following Kara in her journey of being like someone who could talk to the dead and deal with the dead and apparitions and stuff like that. This book I gave 5 stars. It's a really, really solid book, and I really, really liked it. I didn't have that much beef with it. We're following a gentleman. Oh, there is. Yeah, the Hollow Dead. I don't know how well you can see that. If you can't see it all that well, maybe Danielle will just put a picture up on the thing. So there is going to be a 4th book called The Hollow Dead, and it's a navy blue background. Man, I was really expecting it to be yellow. I don't know why. But anyway, back to the 3rd book. So I guess that would be spoilers for the 4th one, that Kira's okay. So basically in this one, there's a couple different plot lines in this book. That'd be the only thing I really got annoyed with, is we're following Kara, her friends. I don't remember her friends. I think it's Mason and Zoe, if I remember correctly. But the main person they're trying to help out is Dane Crispin, who is being haunted by the ghosts of his family. And Kara can see those ghosts, and what she's trying to do is untether them from Earth. So it's an ability she has. She can go in, physically, she has to tune in her second sight, go into, the physical ghost, grab the string that's binding them to Earth and literally just, yank it, and they're just woo! Balloons, basically. But for some reason, the ones that are attached to Dane have gotten so attached to Dane that they're more powerful. But then we go on this whole, journey through, Mason's high school buddy or, college friend who got murdered. And he, feels bad because he probably could have stopped it and he didn't. And so we have this whole other, middle portion of the book that's completely away from Dane and the whole main plot point. But in doing so, she gets an ability to where she can actually help Dane for the last part of the book. So, I guess it works, but whatever. I still give it 5 stars. I really enjoyed the book, and I would definitely say out of the books I've read so far that have housed sequels or trilogies from Darcy, this is my favorite, mainly because I've only read the duology of House of Shadows, House of Secrets, or whatever, and I've only read one book in the winter one.
So this is your favorite of the 3 in the series?
This is my favorite out of the 3, mainly because the first one I don't remember all that well, but the second one I definitely thought was not as good as The Twisted Dead. So, but yeah, definitely a good book. Can't wait for The Hollow Dead to come out next year, or whenever it does come out. So, there you have The Twisted Dead by Darcy Coates. Alright, last up is probably in contention, I would say, for at least top 5 book of the year for me. And I pushed this book off for a long time. And I shouldn't say a long time. I've been only in the book world for like 3 years. For a little while. And I finally decided to read it. I was actually going to read The Talisman because I want to go on my list of ones I don't have read. And this is just a little bit shorter. So I finally have read Revival by Stephen King. And I'm going to try and get this where there's no glare. But however, I can't see it. And Danielle's giving me the thumbs up, so we're good. So, Revival by Stephen King. I wholeheartedly agree with a lot of people because a lot of people say that this book was probably his darkest since Pet Sematary, and I agree with that book. I agree with that statement. This book was eerie. It was creepy. It had lots of religious things in this book. So if you're faint of heart, like religiously, or like don't want to hear blasphemy, then maybe don't read this book, because it points out a lot of good questions about stuff like that, and like could be triggering. So just be aware of that before you do try and tackle this book. This book has got a huge take on religion and religious aspects of life and stuff like that. In this book, we are following Jamie Morton and Charles Jacobs are the 2 real main people that we follow. I already forgot his name already. I just said it too. Charles Jacobs is the new preacher in town for Jamie and his family. And pretty much what ends up happening is one day Charles' family basically like dies in some freak accident, and then he really questions his religion. He's like, why does bad things happen to good people? If there is such a God, why does he let bad things happen when he wants so many good things in the world to happen? Like, all these things happen in the first, like, 2 or 3 chapters or something like that. And he goes rogue. The whole town just, like, kicks him out. And he leaves. But before doing so, he introduces Jamie to this weird, like, electrical thing that, like, Charles has got. Like, he's just got some weird obsession with electricity. He shows him like a walking Jesus on water that he made with like batteries and electrical stuff and stuff like that. But we jump ahead a couple of years. Jamie's older. He's got this steady girlfriend named Astrid, and like typical like high school like crush. They eventually kind of like part ways and stuff like that. But he runs into Charles again. And he's like this, like, he's part of this, like, circus type act where he's, like, conning people and, like giving miracles. When he's younger, Jamie's brother, Can, or whatever, loses his ability to speak. And the pastor literally, like, uses electricity and makes him able to speak. So during their time apart, Charles starts like doing all these things like miracle acts and stuff like that with electricity, but a lot of the people who he helped have got like very bad after effects. But the main premise of this book is basically like death. It's kind of like Pet Sematary, but like instead of it being a child, it's more like adult type things. Now I'm giving this 5 stars. The only quarrel I have is it's got a Stephen King ending. There's no other way to put it. It has a Stephen King ending, and he really went there with what he thought was on the other side when you die. Let me just put it that way. If you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. But it's out there. It's so bizarre to read it. But it is very dark. It is a very dark book. And it really brings up a lot of questions about like life, religion, and everything like that. Which to me is why I think I really like it. It's because it's like, it's dark, but it brings up good points. So, like I said, not a top 10 King, but probably most definitely in my top 20, just like Mr. Mercedes might jump up in the top 20. I don't know yet. I'm still contemplating a lot of stuff. But Revival, definitely one I wish I read sooner, because it is a very solid book. So, there you have it, Revival by Stephen King. Alright, so there you have recent reads. I don't know what number I'm on. I do so many recent reads, whatever. 4 books. 3 of them were 5 stars, and 1 was one I wish I can forget. But yeah, we'll have all 4 linked down below. If you want a differing opinion about the book that I did not like, Danielle, I believe, talked about that book on her channel at some point. Just check that out, and she will gladly differ with what I said. Otherwise, if you're intrigued with any of them, we'll have them linked down below. Like I said, also down there is Danielle's channel. Check that out. Subscribe. She's getting close to 800, 900, 1,000. Just subscribe to her. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also let me know what you've been reading recently down below, or any of your thoughts and opinions on these books. Also, if you want to talk about that ending and revival, shoot me a message, because I'm very intrigued to hear people's opinions, because I think it was way out there. But yeah, otherwise don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Later.